So here we are again. This is just very characteristic of this iridescent bronze. When you water it down, it turns this bright green, but not to worry, just blot it. I let this sit for a few minutes. So you want to do that to let that bronze kind of fuse to your project. Just a couple minutes is fine. And then you just want to come in and blot off all the green. Now you can always leave the green if you want to as well, but I don't want green, I want bronze. And then you end up with this beautiful bronze shimmer on your piece. Hello and Happy New Year. So today is the very first day of the Soul of an Artist excavation. And as you saw in the beginning, I've got these pieces to this point. Now all I've done is kind of just laid out some things that I've wanted here. And I went ahead and snapped a picture of these so that I could take everything apart and put it back together quite easily. But I wanted to talk for a few minutes about today's topic. Every week we're going to have such a magical, spiritual topic. Now what I'm doing here is leaving the lower layer on so that I can go ahead and get all those placed. This is where I struggle. I struggle to talk at work at the same time, and I'm really considering doing voiceover videos. So I'm wondering, guys, if I'm thinking of keeping these videos for this excavation between 20 and 30 minutes for the year. So let me know what you think of that. Is that too long? Am I limiting myself too much? Just give me a little feedback down below. It would be greatly appreciated. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and talk and work. And my topic today, of course, is, are you really an artist? So here I am opening up some matte gel medium to glue these pieces on. So throughout my life, I started off as a very young person doing a lot of artwork. I have these beautiful skeleton leaves, and some of them are torn, which I like even better than a complete one. So I've done all kinds of artwork for many years, like I was just saying, as a little kid. And, you know, I am a sober person because I was a really bad drunk for a number of years, and it destroyed my life, and it changed a lot of things, and not for the better. And now I am sober, and I've been sober for a long time, over 17 years now, but I lost my artistic life in those years that I was drinking. So, but a few things happened. Now, the topic, are you really an artist? That came about because when I was 18 years old, I took all my artwork. I had a bunch of pieces, and I got to tell you, back then, my art was, it was primitive. It was just something to be desired. I don't want to say primitive. That might be being too nice. But I was a very inexperienced kid at doing artwork, but I had boldness in me. And so I loaded up a bunch of my artwork into my old Jeep, and I drove to this other town down in Colorado Springs. There's a little area down there in Colorado where there's just a whole strip of art galleries, right? So I took all my artwork down there, and I hit a couple galleries, and people were like, oh, you're gonna have to call the owner. I don't make those decisions. That was what I got at first. And then I went to my third or fourth gallery. I don't remember, it's been so many years, but the gal actually looked at my artwork, and she looked down her nose at my artwork and laughed and snickered at it and said, we don't carry artwork like that here. And I left that gallery, and I left that town. I didn't show another person my artwork after that lady did that. I let her have my power. I let her have control over how I felt about myself and my art. And, you know, it's okay. I was very young and very inexperienced, and my artwork at the time really did not have a place in these galleries that I was shopping around trying to get my stuff in. But for many years after that, I didn't show anything to anybody. I still did art, and even when I drank, I did a little bit here and there, but I just wouldn't show my stuff to anybody. It took me a really long time to get over that. And then a couple other things have happened in my life concerning this "are you really an artist" topic. And that was, I had a friend tell me one time, she said, well, you use stencils, so you're not really an artist. And that really kind of made me angry. But the great thing about that is that I didn't feel the same angst towards her as I did with the gallery situation. The gallery situation took the wind out of my sails entirely. It really did. And when this lady said that to me, I was older and more mature and more experienced. And the thing that went through my mind as she said that, I want to get this straight, it's not quite straight, is I considered the source of who was talking to me. And this person, you know, she doesn't spend time creating. She doesn't spend time doing artwork. She's a very talented lady, and she's a skincare specialist. I've long since lost touch with her. But, you know, I learned how to consider the source is the whole point of what I'm trying to say here. And I considered the source, and I thought to myself, well, you don't create art, you don't spend any time creating art, so I'm only going to take you as seriously as somebody who's really not trying to be constructive. You know, it was a hurtful comment, and, you know, it's really not a big mystery that we don't talk to each other anymore. But, you know, it didn't get me down like the gallery thing did. It just didn't get me down. And then some other things have happened. You know, I definitely learned how to consider the source. And I highly recommend that to anybody who's struggling to feel good about being an artist and all of those kinds of things, okay? Because we are only as powerful as we... What am I trying to say? We're only going to get as far as we let ourselves. And if we're constantly berating ourselves due to what other people are saying about us, that is just a waste of time and energy, big time, okay? So further down the road throughout my artistic life, many people have not liked my artwork. They have responded negatively to it. They've responded indifferently to it. And I still do the artwork. I still do it. And I still grow, and I still change, and I still create. Here we are today. And then I have another friend, and this person moved away, so we've lost touch with each other too. But he was such a valuable friend to me because he never liked anything I showed him. And I showed this person a lot of my artwork for a few years, and he liked none of it. And he did me the greatest service in the world because he was willing to say, I don't like that. You know, I don't even like it. I don't like that either. No, I don't like that either. So while I'm talking about all this, I'm just going to do a little bit of journaling, and I'm just going to put the word artist in here and there. And so I'm just using a lead pencil here, just nothing special. And just doing some doodling. But he gave me the greatest service in the world because he told me the truth. He told me the truth. He's like, it's just not my taste. And I learned how, because of him, I learned how to take somebody not liking my stuff and not internalize that and use it as a reason to beat the crap out of myself, because we do that, don't we? We have these things happen in our lives and we end up using it to allow ourselves to be abusive to ourselves, and that is so useless. And thanks to him, I learned that lesson. I'm going to put the word artist down here. I hope I'm in frame. I really have to watch that. So that happened. And then, you know, here's what I have to say about it in a nutshell. Are you really an artist? Well, are you? I mean, are you? It's up to you to decide whether or not you're an artist. And I'll tell you, in my drinking years, and you'll hear a lot about that as we go through this stuff, you're just going to hear about it every now and then. I was still an artist through all of that time that I wasn't creating. I still have the soul of an artist. I still have the heart of an artist. And just because somebody is not creating for a certain time in their life doesn't mean that they are not an artist. And if you're creating things that you don't like, all I can say is welcome to the club. Every artist that is serious goes through that in their life. Okay, you're gonna go through it. It's gonna happen. So you know, we're not always in the actual process of creation, but it is up to you personally. And whoever doesn't like your stuff, more power to them and more power to you for learning how to not allow that to be internalized into your life, okay? If, you know, here's what's funny. Let me just wrap up this talk with this, and then I'm going to probably speed this up and work to music, okay? But let me just say this. I was in a workshop recently about artists, for artists, and they were talking about, a lot of the people in it were talking about how they wanted recognition as an artist, and they weren't getting it, and they weren't getting the validation that they wanted to have as an artist. And I'm here to tell you that I didn't really get any validation until I started this channel outside of my own self, giving my own self validation. And even now, I don't get a lot of validation at this point in time. And I respect and honor a person's being in that place, being in that moment, being in that thought process of, you know, I need recognition. I need to know that people care about what I'm doing. Well, I'm here to tell you that if you need that, you may wait a very long time. You may wait forever for that. And I think it's really important that we give ourselves that validation, because, you know, the outside world, everybody's very concerned with their own lives and their own things that they have going on. And for me to sit here and wait for validation that may never come, what a waste of an artistic life. Okay, it's just as wasteful as being a drunk, in my opinion. So, and that's pretty darn wasteful. And I can speak to that all I want because I'm totally qualified to do so. So, you know, validate yourself. If you feel that you are an artist and that you are living the life of an artist, oh, I don't like that. I want this one on top. I don't know if I could pull it off. I'm going to try. You have to give it to yourself. Ooh, look at how lucky I got. Woohoo. So, you know what? Worry about what you think of yourself. That's the best advice that I have ever given myself. And then one more thing, and this is really, to this day, just makes me sad. But I was doing an exhibit, and nobody in my life, I'll tell you guys, the people in my life, they don't watch my channel. They don't come to my exhibits. They don't participate in my artistic world at all, and sometimes that's really hard and really painful. Now my sister shows up for everything, God bless her. She shows up for me with everything, and but most people don't. They don't want to see what I do, they don't want to hear about it, they don't want to talk about it, all that stuff, right? And I have learned not to even begin to give them the power of having a say in the first place. Now check this one out. I tore this leaf to put it on here, and I love to do that. I think it's such a beautiful addition to these. Now I will probably seal these entire pieces with Mod Podge because it's just it's my sealer for my botanicals, and I'm using matte medium today, but I think I'll give all this a coat when it's all done, just as a side note. But you know what? I did this exhibit, and I had this friend at the time, and you know, she was big on showing up when I would show her how to do things. Artistically, she loved to learn from me, but she wasn't big on showing up for me. And she went to my exhibit. It was up for a month, and she went to it at the end of it. This was an exhibit I did years back, and I got really mad at her, and I let her have it, and I was mean, and I ruined our friendship over my meanness. And you know, I was right in a way, but the way I handled it was so not right. You know what I'm saying? And I destroyed the friendship. And you know, I learned a very valuable lesson about that. And you know, there are people out there who will take from you and never give to you. And do you really need friends like that? You know? And on another note about that, my behavior, I'm not trying to justify my behavior, but it was just, I had supported her in everything she was doing in her life, and I was really vulnerable because it was like my second exhibit, and I was still, you know, quite I didn't quite have the put your stuff out there, because this stuff comes from our souls, right? I mean, we're pulling from our imagination, and we are taking something that doesn't exist and bringing it into manifestation. And this is a very big deal. It's a very big deal to me, and I think it's a very big deal to other artists as well. So, you know, I let my temper get the better of me, but I learned a valuable lesson, and that is, you know, when people aren't giving you the validation or that kind of stuff that you're after, just move on, you know. And if you're doing all the work in the relationship, I'm here to ask you why are you doing that? You know what I mean? We can leave relationships. Now, I blew that friendship up, and so that's over. It's a done deal. But I did apologize to her. I was able to go and clean up my side of the street and own my behavior, and then I was able to move on from that. But you know, I've paid enough. I've paid enough for feeling bad about, am I an artist or am I not an artist? This darn thing will not stay down. So here we go. There. And I'm really past that in my life now, and blowing up at her actually helped me to get past it, because I was so ashamed of my behavior in that moment and how I handled that I, you know, I vowed to myself I was never going to treat anybody like that again, and I will absolutely leave this life with that promise to myself intact. So, you know, here's the thing, if you're hung up on whether or not you're an artist, if you're inspired when you see art, if you create art, if you want to create art, but you're scared or whatever, you've got blocks in the way of creating art, that does not mean you are not an artist. So the whole point of this topic today for me is, let's get this BS out of the way right now. If you think you are an artist, then you give yourself the respect and dignity of giving yourself that title of artist. Nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody can take it away from you. This is between you and you. And I watched these people in this workshop. Hold on one sec. Thank you. I watched these people in this workshop, and it really made me sad because they were so hung up on needing to be validated. And you know what? A lot of them, they're going to let it stop them forever. And I am telling you right here, right now, do not be that person. Do not allow the lack of validation for your work in this life, whether it's artistry or anything else for that matter. Don't let outside forces dictate how you feel about yourself. You know, it's not fair to you, and it's definitely not fair to those of us who could see your artwork if you had that BS out of the way. So let's just get it out of the way right now. Okay, so I've got this going on. I hope you like my little talk. I'm so excited. I tell you guys, I made that video a couple weeks ago with the trailer for this, and this is so funny. It's I read a book years ago. This is just a little side note. This needle's too darn small for this. I'm wasting my time. I'll just talk for a second. I'm gonna stitch these on. That's why I'm trying to thread my needle. But when I made that video a couple weeks ago, it came out to 4 minutes and 44 seconds, okay? I have quite a number of angel stories in my life that I'm gonna be sharing with you throughout this year on these little digs here. So, but what's really funny is I read a book years ago, and it said that 444 is a number, among others, like 1111, there's quite a few, but 444 specifically means that when you see that number, there is an angel present. And I had put in that little trailer video a bit of talk about angels, because that's part of what I want to bring to my channel now. And the video flowed, and the music flowed, and the song ended right when I was done editing all of my clips for the video. The music ended at the exact moment the last clip ended, and I just had this complete harmony with the creation of that video, and I learned a ton from it. But it ended up being 4 minutes and 44 seconds, and I did not plan that, and I just thought that was so cool and funny and uplifting and inspiring. So when you see 444, just know that that is a great time to give thanks and say, hey, I'm looking for some help. Hey, I'm looking for a sign. And it will be there for you. It will be there. So I'm giving you a sign today. And that is, if you feel like an artist, it is high time that you give yourself permission to be the artist you are and to get past that, because that right there will taint our artwork. It will stop us from creating artwork. And who the heck needs that garbage? None of us need that. So I'm going to zip it now, because I really do struggle, guys, to talk and work at the same time. And I promise you, I will be more together, and I'm going to be more practiced, and things are going to come together so much better in the future. Okay. So just, take a few bumps and bruises with me, and we'll be better off for it in the long run. So I'm going to hush now. And again, happy New Year. And whatever resolutions you have, Go for it. I am excited for you. And I've got to say one more thing. One more thing. I will one more thing it for 15 minutes. My phrase for this year, for 2022, my phrase is bold and daring. So pick something out for yourself that resonates with your soul at this point in time in your life, and I will see you next week. But do stick around for the completion of this canvas project. Thanks, guys. I've shown this in a couple other videos. This is my Tattered Angels color wash tint. It's a one-step water-based tint, and I like to do drips with this stuff. And what I'm going to do here is, just to kind of control the mess a bit, is pull out a piece of poster board. But I want to take one at a time of these and just put it in this Tupperware. Now, I get this stuff at Hobby Lobby, and it is in the craft paint section. these, by the way, I got these at Michael's, and these canvases are 4 by 12, I believe. Yep, these are 4 by 12 inch canvases. I really love to work on this size, and we're going to be doing a lot of projects coming up on this size canvas. So enjoy, and I'll see you next week.